Well, hello everyone out there in YouTube land. Um, there's plenty of older fans on YouTube, but nobody really does how-to videos. I believe it was 1944 John Deere L who did at one point a how-to video on these, and I figured I might do one of my own while I'm here. Got these old projects sitting around here for ages. This old brass blade Westinghouse that need to find the bits to put back together. That's all I've ever had of it. But I figured, since I just picked this little General Electric, it looks to say AVV on the tag, but the only ones I've seen were AUs. I've seen one form type AV, but it wasn't anything like this. Here she's catalog number 34013, 110 volt 60 cycle, farm number S1, and it's number 1160309. It's a steel blade, I believe. Matter of fact, to be honest, I haven't even checked. A little bend here, if we can straighten that. I believe this was black. Well, yeah, obviously it was black now I look at it. I haven't got the rear cover. I might have one on a parts fan. So, while this isn't a gearbox model, an oscillator, I can at least give you a bit of a demonstration of how to go about one of these things if it hasn't been running in years. This one does turn over pretty well. As you can see, actually pretty damn well. I haven't even had the oilers off. The plug, well, it's been there for a long time, but, well, I don't know. Maybe someone went over it at one point in time. This is one of the only fans I've ever bought that actually ran when I bought it. So, without further ado, we'll get to you'll see. So it depends on the fan you have. Actually, coincidentally, it's perfect, considering the ones that are sitting around here. That actually works very well. Most of them will have these little brass cups under the bearings of the motor. This ones I've already had loosened. These will have wicks in them, and you obviously would fill this with light oil, like 10 weight, or electric motor 3-in-1, not normal 3-in-1. It's in a blue can. Which would, that you can see, would go up into the main bearing. These GEs had, some were a porous bearing, and others went right onto the shaft. I'm honestly don't really remember what this is. And this too, one on the front, one on the back. You always have to clean those out because they get gummed up. This one I've had off, like I said, so I know it's gummed up. Now, our next example, coincidentally, these were all sitting here. I wasn't even expecting that. This one's a little beat. Oh, no, this isn't the right model, but it'll do. This is that front one, too. However, the rear bearing is not oilable. And if it even comes off. Get it off here. However, you'll unscrew this cap, or unscrew a square cover. We're going to cover that later. If I can find another one around I have to work on. And, just remove this. And, well, that should come out, but it's frozen in there from grease. There's a gear here. It's a little worm shaft there. You clean all that out. You're going to want to clean this junk off this gear. And it's not particularly easy. This isn't a very good example of how to do it. This particular fan, mainly due to its material and just the fact that it doesn't run. But dismantle this whole gearbox, get all the gunk out of there, and then repack it with fresh light grease. Personally, I use Lucas Red and Tacky. My sister's got her frigging rap music going. And if it doesn't have those oil holes, I was hoping this Westinghouse was slightly newer. I forgot it wasn't. Sometimes they'll have a little, just an offset hole on the top here. Just drip some oil down in there. Coincidentally, though, this works very well, but this Emerson's sitting here. If you don't have either of those, let me climb up the stairs here to get to her. Emerson's have this little cover here. This little hole in the cover. Let me see, is this loose? It's supposed to be. This cover was a little tight to get on. Hold on a sec. Yeah, it was just a little stiff. Emerson's, or at least most Emerson's, this in particular is a 79648AQ. From what I've been told, no, it's not guaranteed, but from what I've been told, you add 2 to the number of this tiny little number here. That would make this a 1947 by that logic. It only makes sense because it's an aluminum. It's not a capacitor motor. It's not quite as nice. It's like 77646, like my older one I keep in my bedroom. But we have this tube here, and it's a single shaft motor. Yeah, derp. A single bearing motor. And you have a cast iron gearbox here, which, if you unscrew here, here, and one under here, I believe, there's 2 screws under here, and it separates. Might I add, that thing's built like the steering box of an old car, or the transmission of a fairly nice commercial lawnmower. But there is no cup on this machine, this fan. And to take the blade off, there's no set screw, as you can see. I would demonstrate right now, but I'm not in the mood to work on this today. You stick, say, a screwdriver or something not particularly sharp. Don't destroy the windings when you put it in there. You stick something in, I believe it's through this hole right here, to lock the rotor. And you spin this blade, I believe it's counterclockwise, don't take my word. Yeah, counterclockwise. Of course, derp. You spin this counterclockwise, and the blade, the whole thing unscrews off the shaft, which then, of course, leaves you with a wide open shaft. This is a single bearing motor, so you just drip a little oil down in through there. I put a good dent in it there, taking it off. Oh well, that's a parts fan. It does run, though. Also, while we're here, I might as well mention it. These Emersons have an adjustable oscillator. So to turn the oscillator on, it always runs. Oops. You turn it to the position you want, and it'll lock, or will stop. So it's pretty much infinite range from, what does it say, 160 degrees to 1 or so. I demonstrate, but this blade hub is really loose and the fan wobbles like heck. But I've been told this actually came out of a RCA factory, if I remember right. At least that's what it was. I was told, but God knows if that's true or not. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. What I usually do. Those wicks are pretty firm. We'll see about it. We'll get there. So, this one. Yeah, here it goes. Yeah, obvious repaint is obvious. You're going to want to unscrew both of these. Now, this one seems to have been oiled at one point. It's past. However, I don't know what with, or God knows, well, who knows when. And I always do it anyway. I usually do the oil in these, in the summer. Yeah, every month, every other month. I'm just picky about it, I guess. Anyway, so we'll be back in a minute. Now you have both these wicks out. So we're back. What I like to do is sometimes with these old wicks, I have material to make new ones, but I don't know, they seem somewhat pliable. Anyway, what I normally will do is, actually this might help a little. Yeah, you can see all the gunk in the bottom here. See if that's not in focus. Yeah, you can see it coming off of my hands. Yeah, that's thick stuff. Wow, that is thick. Liquid grease. Anyway, I throw them on a little thing here of paint thinner, or whatever you want to use. No particular reason why. Yeah, there's nothing even really in that one. No particular reason why, but I always like to, if I'm reusing the old wicks, set them front, well, you know, that one's the front, that one's the back, and I keep them in order. No particular reason, I just do it. Anyway, so you can see down in there, there's pretty much nothing. A little bit of junk in this one. Pretty gunky looking stuff, though. So we're just gonna, oops. I usually will do is just, there you are. Take a little screwdriver and some paper towel. The obvious preparation is obvious. Just run around in there. Get that crap out of there. And then, if whatever won't come out, just sort of scoop it out. Like that. And, just the same, just throw it in the paint thinner. Make sure it's getting in there. I don't even think there's anything in that one. Yeah. Plenty of junk coming out of this one. However, I've had much worse. I had one that had old butter in the cups. I'm not joking about that. Not quite as bad. Still a good bit of junk in there, though. And just throw it on in. The cups really don't make much difference. I just like to keep the wicks in order. And so I'll let them sit for See all the junk coming out of them. If they're pliable when I'm done, I'll usually just reuse the old wicks, but if they're stiff and hard and obviously no good anymore, I just cut new wicks out of, well, bearing material, I guess you'd call it. I just get it off eBay. Anyway, I'll probably do a video, well, probably fairly soon from the looks of it, but this isn't an oscillator, so I'm not quite so worried. But I'll do a video another time, if I don't do it tonight, about rewiring these. I don't believe there ever was a video done. By no means am I a professional, but I can show you how to do it. Just so long as it doesn't involve a Westinghouse. But note to self, anyone who's watching this, if you ever watch this, if you buy a Westinghouse fan, this is a warning to anyone, make sure your head wire's in good shape. This one, it's a little ratty, but it's runnable until you get up here. The top wires for the motor, you can cut them out, sure, but these motors are almost impossible to get out of the housings to reconnect new wires. It's doable, but they're almost impossible. The way I've known it, and I did it once, but I managed to destroy it in the process, and the motor was blown anyway. It was just an attempt. Was to take off all the front cover, everything in the back, so you don't destroy it. That will unscrew, but it's pot metal, and beware of that, because it will disintegrate if you're not careful. I remember we'd drill a hole here and a hole on the other side, and stamp the stator out like that, and you could reconnect it, cool the stator, heat up the body, and you could punch it back in. But once again, I've never actually done it. So we're going to let these things soak for a bit, and we'll continue on from there. Bye all. I usually like to let these things set for 10, 15, 20 minutes. You can see the crack coming out of them as I move them around a bit here. I never run an old fan more than a minute or two if I ever haven't had these things off. I'm sure they could run quite a while. I mean, that stuff was slippery. It was still working enough, but I don't like to do it. Anyway, moving on. Excuse the pulsating sound of rap crap, but I went through my parts bucket and found what I was talking about. This is the type of bearing you just drip a little oil in through the top. This is from a Westinghouse from the 1930s with the micarta blades. Actually, oops. This the stator burns up in this one, but these are not brass and these are not plastic. To anyone who always seems to call them either or, they are micarta. It's sort of like Bakelite, if I remember right. They're sort of a resin, if I recall. I couldn't quite explain it all, but just about all of these were like that. So from here, I just took out the first oil cup and see more junk that fell out of it. So now I've got it just cleaned out with a paper towel. And also, the paint seems to be coming off, thank goodness. You can see the old brass finish under there from all this heavily applied junk, whatever the heck it is they put on it. So, that's the... Okay, darn my eyes. I was looking at this thing wrong. Got the oil cups cleaned out now, and I'm just trying to let the paint soak off a little more. To anyone, from what I've read, this is, so no facts here, but, the bump tags, the little dots you can see there, was 1926. The smooth ones was 1927 and 1928. Anyone check me on that, but that's what I've been reading, so I figured I'd throw that in here while I'm at it. So anyway, back to it. I let them soak for a while. You can see you got some pretty good amount of junk out of there. Oops. One of them did start to, well, yeah, you can split, see it split right there, but they're still pretty supple. That was me just being stupid. I bent it over a little bit from a certain bit of loud music that made me jump. And I can't find the wicks right now, so for now I'm just going to put them together like this, but I'll do another video sooner or later. I'll show how to put thread new wicks into these springs. These ones are all different, so not quite going to be as easy, but doable. So anyway, what I usually do is get down here on this box. Like I say, I like to keep both of them in order, not that it makes much difference, but I usually fill these up a bit. Never use normal 3-in-1, that'll gum up. Usually I'll take first, since these are old wicks, I'll take the front half and stick that down in there for a minute or so. Do the other one too. Paint started to come off a bit too. I'm just not in the mood to mess with it all night. I could just soak these for a good bit. Yeah, we'll be back in a minute after those sit for a bit. So anyway, as we were doing before, what I'll do, now that they've sat for a minute or two here, well, a few minutes. Oh, 3-in-1's a little stickier. I usually use the 3-in-1 in these cup oilers, well, or Zoom spout, which is a 10 weight, so obviously thinner. This is SA20. I always use the Zoom spout in bushing fans and things with the oilers on top. 20 works for everything, I imagine, but I just like the lighter oil. Seems to get in places better. So I just fill these pretty much up to the top, right about the edge of the cup slip there, whatever you want to call it. Just fill these both. And after I've said so much about randomly wanting to remember which goes, yeah, right, this is the front. So, is thread these up in here. They take a little goofing. Also, there is supposed to be spring tension on these. Like I say, I really don't. Hold on a sec. I gotta see if this is just a press in or. Yep. So this one does go all the way straight up to the shaft. So you have to sort of. I'm sure you can even see this. Yeah, you can. You just sort of gotta monkey them around and get them into the hole, because if they aren't, they really won't do anything. And it can be a bit of a, well, actually a pretty big pain in the neck to get in there. You don't really have to do it very often though. I'll just do it myself here. That feels right. Yeah, there we go. There is supposed to be a bit of tension on them naturally. Not a lot, but some. Now we just screw that in there. It's a bit of a, it probably isn't that really normally such a dirty job. I just like to fill them right up to the top so I feel better leaving them for a month or two. I'm just anal about that. So there's one. Clean off your fingers while you're at it. Not that this one really, you really have to worry about it being clean. And the fronts I usually find to be a little easier for some reason. Just gotta sort of find the sweet spot. There it goes. I'll monkey it around in there for a sec. I do believe my 1931 GE sort of, the edges of the cups are somewhat, or the castings that is, are somewhat beveled in, so they're a little easier to get the threads started. This one's pretty much flat, so it's a bit of a job. And don't, well, I guess you can't really cross-thread it and do much damage, but on pot metal you want to be careful, because I accidentally once ripped the threads right out of a United Electric manufactured fan. Then again, pot metal gets really brittle. Oh, temperamental little. Music is not helping my patience here. Like I say, this is a big, there we go. You just gotta get mad at yourself about it, that's all. I have some choice words when I finish this video. Now it's in there. Threads might be a little gunked up on in the motor. So now, it should turn over easy anyway, so it's not going to be any much difference. This plug's screwed up, so bear with me. It might take me a sec to get it in. Oh, or not. So, here's the first test run since I got it out of the antique shop. It's the trash barrel again. So, it's a pretty basic high, medium, low. Oh, here goes. Pretty quiet actually for an older one. Medium. Or low. I never found much difference between medium and low. There's a bit. Not a whole lot. But there you have it. So that's the oiling aspect. My sister finishes up in a bit. I might get into the gearbox because I do want to get this Emerson running. And I know I need to do that with that one. But anyway, so that's all for now. See how long she takes here. See if that helped any. Fine enough. I've had some of them that don't even want to turn if you put a drill on them. Don't ask. Anyway, so that's the first little bit of my little series I might end up doing. Anyway, that's all for now.